What is going on, everybody? Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock. I had to catch myself because, again, NBA is going. I'm thinking about my Timberwolves the whole way through the entire day. Hit my like button. My like button for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I have a one-track mind, man. 3-1. We need that one so badly, but we also need money badly, and that is what we have here with the Sims tool and MLB Live Before Lock. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist. I'm joined, as I normally am on these MLB shows. It's becoming a nice ritual that I look forward to in my daily life, hanging out with my buddy Chris Spags. At Chris Spags is where you can find him. You can also find him on the Splash Play channel over on YouTube, breaking down the NBA, breaking down the MLB now, breaking down NFL best ball. And NFL best ball is really gigantic this year. Underdog, DK, so many great offerings. How you doing, my dude?
Excited to be here. And I will say up top, normally you like to give either some banter here, but I will once again give applause for Eric's sacrifice today. Eric has to do content today. He can't go to the Minnesota game versus the Lakers. And unfortunately for him, that means he might be missing out on the 4-1 brutal elimination, though. You are going up against LeBron and Luka, who I saw many times on Twitter today. Highest scoring players, number 1 and 2 in elimination games ever. So 66 points going to LeBron and Luka today at the very least. And then I don't know who else is going to score. DFS going to put up 50 points.
We'll find out. Well, DFS, So DFS, Maxi Kleba actually matters. I think he's going to play a couple minutes if he ends up getting active. They have experience. Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka, and Maxi Kleba together over there in Dallas. Plus, Jackson Hayes is Jackson Hayes. So there's that. But I did turn down tickets. My father-in-law wanted to take me to the game tonight, and I said, no, I have to work. And then he was just like, that's a man after my heart, because he loves good-natured, hand in the dirt, self-made, putting work together. What he doesn't realize is that means I'm online gambling money and talking about MLB DFS. So, take it for what it is. I'll take the win and him being proud of me rather than, the sacrifice that I am making.
But for the people out there who enjoy your content, who want some goddamn Lindy locks, you can't go to the T-Wolves game. You got to be up pouring over data at 9 p.m. your time. Following day. It's a tough life for Eric, guys. I think you guys hit the like button for Eric because he's
that's going a little far. My life is pretty good. I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm doing just fine. Don't worry about that, but I'll be doing even better if I can win an MLB DFS tournament. Yesterday I thought a lineup that was going to maybe take down the $13 World Championship qualifier, but no, it did not. A lot of things happened in Ohtani. Definitely happened against that lineup, even though the Sims tool, day after day after day, just jamming him in your lineups, that makes you happy unless it was today. The first Ohtani off game in forever. 9 runs by the Dodgers elsewhere. And Lindy's locked there. -1.5 Dodgers. Not a huge run line guy, but this year, Dodgers run line, it is feeding families. So let's start breaking down this slate because we have, I would say, one of the more unique slates we've had on the entire MLB DFS season, purely because we have 5K and 4K pitchers that we actually need to really dive into, Spags. Anything about this slate that stands out to you before we dive in?
I mean, I would say on the other side of that, and I do agree, dumpster diving a little bit's going to happen. There's some cheap guys who are going to come up as the dog is, again, climbing behind my back as she insists on doing.
So adorable.
Okay, yeah, she's so, Oh, and she's going to yell into the mic too. Great. Yeah, here we go. Here she is.
That was an adorable puppy bark. Also, puppies apparently do that. My dog does this all the time because he's a pansy, but he's 110 pounds. But like, if you lift him off the ground, it's like their way of, because they're not actually being hurt whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's like them communicating to a pack that does not exist.
Oh, well, she also is bitches whenever she's not going to do whatever bad thing she's trying to do. So I think that's part of it. But it's an interesting slate to go back to that because if you do have the cheap guys, you also have a guy at 8,200 who I think has the best stuff of any slate and best projection as well for Christopher Sanchez today. Really been having a lot of crappy pitching slates on shows I've been on. Sanchez at least has some juice. We'll see if his ownership is worth it. Seems like a lot of ownership going his way, both sim-wise and in general from the field. But I like the pitching today. I think it's actually a pretty fun slate, even though we're not getting all the fun wind that was going on yesterday.
Did you play NBA DFS yesterday?
I play NBA, every night. That's where most of my bankroll goes during this part of the year.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson. Did you check out your boy on Live Before Lock last night at 1%? Mitchell Robinson?
It's impressive. I heard Josh talk about it this morning on the strategy show, so I think that counts the same. I was on Luka time during the Live Before Lock yesterday, but look, hitting Mitchell Robinson, good play. The Knicks, Cat, really tough playoff series for him so far. Like not putting up the usage, not putting up the stats I've been accustomed to all year.
Yeah, the overtime killed me. But other than that, I felt pretty good overall about what I had for lineups. you just needed Giannis over Jokic by a mile. It was just not even remotely comparable. If you didn't have that, you were probably in trouble. So I was overweight to both. I obviously wish I had 40% or 45% of the Giannis fellow rather than 30,
and stupid Gary Trent too. Just did not, that was not anywhere near my projection, but sometimes playoffs, Sleepy Floyd going off in the 80s. I would have been mad about that too. I said in my Discord today. So mad about Gary Trent going nuts in like an awful first half and then just went nuts. But
Eric Wise McKenzie there in the top batters tool as the opposing pitcher. I don't know why he's in the top batters tool. He shouldn't be. So don't worry about that. I will try to get that cleaned up here. I know the data will get updated. I think we have most everything that we need here for this slate. We have every lineup because all the games going early, they really want us to watch the Timberwolves tonight. So I appreciate the MLB for the way that they rolled out this schedule today. That makes me very happy. Schedule for the rest of the day here at Stokastic before we dive into this MLB DFS slate. We've got NBA Live before a lock. That is with Greg and Josh, as it normally is on Wednesdays. And then they will be on the playback show for an hour afterwards, helping you with late swap, talking through the game, sweating some bets. And then, of course, Portfolio EV being shared over at playback.tv/Stokastic, both on this show, on the NBA DFS show. They will be updating in real time here. We got bets. We got bets going for you all the time. Not Mookie Betts. He's done playing baseball today. But Aaron Gordon, we've got under 21.5 PRA sitting at the top there over at NoVig. We've got a couple of the, I love seeing Profit X, NoVig, all these spots where I can get a lot of action down on different spots now. We've got Adrian Kempe there on FanDuel in the old point streets, the under of his points prop, which is kind of wild. Edmonton, that's going to be a fun finale. I think it's tomorrow that goes down. But anyway, we've got the wild. There's so many different games, so many different sports, NHL, MLB, NBA, Portfolio EV, catering to all of it. The best market-based tool in the industry. If you want to support this show, simply check out Portfolio EV for 7 days completely free at the link below. And that way we can keep doing this. We can all kick it. Birds together now, birds of a feather now. Let's begin. Anything you would like to, no, we already asked that question. Let's just start at the tippy top, what was it? Sound of Music. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. You brought him up on the onset, and there is no planet where I'm entering this slate without Christopher Sanchez as my highest owned pitcher. He's 8,200. We will talk about Waddell. We will talk about all of the cheapies. Noah Cameron, who I also think is very, very viable. We're going to talk through these 4K guys, but Christopher Sanchez is a linchpin of lineups. I don't need to play both 4K guys, and I do have a preference between the two of them. The Sims tool does as well, and I agree with it. But Christopher Sanchez, 8,200, ground ball extraordinaire, and now north of a 30% K rate to start off the season to boot with it. Spags, 70% Christopher Sanchez that I'm getting in the Sims. Too much, too little, or like the baby bear, just right.
I think that's pretty close to just right. So I got a little bit less for myself, got 61%, but I do think he's got great stuff. In particular, facing a good amount of lefties up top, facing 3 out of the 4 top 4 batters were lefties, and he is killed versus lefties, the 26% K rate, 9 Ks per 9, only a 1.2% home run rate versus his fellow side of things there. But Washington, low total, 3 implied runs there. Sanchez has had good stuff all throughout the last couple of years. A 50% chase rate over a nice about 1,300 batter sample size over the last couple seasons. Hard hit rate's not that high at 36.5%. Barreled ball rate even lower relatively at 6.2%. So you're talking about good ability to miss the bats there for the most part. Good ability to not give up dangerous power. Park factors of Philadelphia certainly working against him for the most part, but we're not really too worried about a lot of the guys on Washington. Overall, the team has a 120 ISO in aggregate for their lineup today. It seems like a great spot for Sanchez. So I got him a lot here, got him at 61%. I think your 70% is fine. The one thing that jumps out, though, is like his chance of being a top 2 pitcher according to Top Pitchers tool. A little bit higher than maybe it should be. So I think that's, we're a little bit over leveraged rather. 24% chance to be a top 2 pitcher, but he's going to be 45% owned. But I think he looks great. So you could roll the dice with him. I think he's your cash game pitcher if you're playing that for sure. But, maybe for tournaments, I could see going less if you want to just play the field and see how it does.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, my brain just shut down for like 2 seconds there, mid thought. The whole thing with Christopher Sanchez is you look at Washington in general against lefties, and, we know James Wood exists and he's left-handed, but I mean, Washington's got a 71 WRC plus. So the thing he's already good at is avoiding hard contact, avoiding fly balls, Yeah, conducive hitting weather. It just seems like every single slate we've talked about it being pretty decent hitting weather in Philly. This is the first game I can remember where the wind has flipped and switched, and now it's coming in. So, like, I feel really, really good about Christopher Sanchez on this slate. I might even get more than 70% when it's all said and done and make him more of just like a featured piece of every single lineup, and then getting different every other place. And it just feels like the field isn't getting to these 4K guys. And I pulled this up just simply so you could see the average simulated ROI. This is directly next to the lineups page. So we go to the player ROI, and I'm just sorting it here. Yeah, you've got negative 10% for average simulated ROI for Christopher Sanchez, but don't forget raw points can be such an important part of a slate like this where we have all the value. You have $1,000 more to get up to Nathan Eovaldi, $600 more to Drew Rasmussen here when you're talking about a ballpark that is much more dangerous and a Kansas City lineup that definitely has more dangerous hitters in it than you've got for Washington. Yes, Dylan Cruz is starting to come along for the ride. Yes, James Wood exists. But outside of those two, CJ Abrams at times, especially last year, I feel really good about his chances of success rather than Eovaldi and Drew Rasmussen. So I don't really have a case that can be made if I just go by salary to get to one of these top 3 or 4 other pitchers above Sanchez. Between Eovaldi, Burns, Rasmussen, and Boyd, is there somebody that you prefer to have in your lineups? Because I don't really have a case for being overweight to any of them today.
No, in my 150 set, I got pretty flat here with these guys, all of them around 12 to 16%, Boyd being the high man for me. I don't think they're great plays. Like, I think Sanchez, I mean, he flat out has a better projection. He's got a 17.7 projection from Stokastic. Everybody else amongst those pay up options under 16. And, it's not the biggest difference in the world, but when it does come to, having a nice matchup as well, I mean, Rasmussen, I think, is the one you maybe can make the biggest case for, but I'm under on him naturally with the sim. He's got good stuff with a, swing strike rate, 12% rounded up, 46% chase rate, low exit velocity being given up as well, 87.9 on average for him, which is the best in the slate, I believe. Actually, number 2 behind Burns. So he's keeping it, inside himself. I guess the best way to put that. It's not the best way to put that. But it's
that's a Puppet Lindquist thing if I've ever heard it.
Playing within himself is a better way to put it. Not
playing inside himself. Even Loco. I'm only here for the Puppet Lindquist, so it is what it is. I see where your mind's at already. Already the performer in you. Looking forward to later in the show. I like that about you.
Can't wait. As a dog wrestles me beneath the table the entire time. But look, low whip for Rasmussen. I think he's got good stuff here, but you look at the projection and again, you're talking about giving up a fantasy 1.5, a little bit more than that for Christopher Sanchez. So I like Sanchez a lot here. I think you can make the case for other guys. And if I were going to make one, it'd be for Rasmussen. But, I think really overall, the highest dollar guys to me on the slate, just not the most appealing and definitely not coming up a ton sim-wise unless you were going to boost them.
Yeah, you would have to boost them. And I mean, if you just look at this, it just comes down to the featured pieces being so much cheaper. We have Eric Lauer, who's also going to be an interesting talking point here. But before we get there, 2 guys that exist on this slate. One is named Brandon Waddell. Broke him down pretty in depth, and I'm very curious to hear what you think about him. And the guy that I'm a little bit more familiar with, Noah Cameron. I won't even say why, but like Noah Cameron's definitely a lefty that I'm very familiar with. Talked about him on the betting show last night. And it's going to be very feast or famine for Mr. Noah Cameron here in Tampa Bay. That's for sure. But let's break down the 2 4K pitchers and why it is that the Sims tool is preferring Brandon Waddell here, Spags. They're 4K. We can start with that. They're both stretched out. I have no issue in terms of what their innings could be. Who do you prefer in the 4K range?
So, I mean, small sample size stuff here out of the 3 guys who've pitched in the minors that are pitching today. That includes Petty, who's not the same price tier, so it's not really the same conversation point. But Cameron and Waddell, and it's, again, I think it's only been, I want to say 20-something innings for these guys in minor leagues so far this year. Cameron's been the best strikeout guy. He's had just shy of 11 strikeouts per 9, looking pretty good overall. He's a lefty facing a lineup that doesn't strike out a ton overall versus lefties, only a 20.8% K rate, but still 5 guys overall that strike out above average. So I think there's something there. Having the lefty matchup, having, a little bit better minor league performance, I think would put me on Cameron. But Waddell projects a lot better. So Waddell under 9 Ks per 9. I don't have the exact number in front of me, and I forget what it was when I did the math this morning. I got 40% of him. I got a lot of Waddell. I would love to flatten that out a little bit more, get some more Cameron in there. I think to me, functionally, in terms of how they work on the slate, they're really very similar plays. And I think Waddell's got a tougher matchup. I mean, a team that overall in aggregate, a 107 WRC plus, 276 batting average versus lefties, and that's weighted by a few guys having real outlier results. But frankly, you've got three guys in the lineup for them for Arizona who bat over 300 versus a lefty. It's a little bit spooky going against Waddell in his first start. So I'm getting more Waddell sim-wise. I think Cameron's a good play too. I think treating them as the same guy is probably the best way to handle it if you're putting in a 20 max or a 150 max.
I said it actually backwards too. I meant Brandon Waddell is the guy I'm more familiar with. It's purely because of KBO. And Noah Cameron, the southpaw for Kansas City, the guy I'm less familiar with, but broke down last night over on Lindy's. I think I probably misspoke. I don't think anybody would have noticed if I had just gone on, but I wanted to admit my mistake because that is important in life. When you make a mistake, it's okay to say that you're wrong, even though a lot of people just don't want to do that in this space. So it is what it is. I was wrong. So yes, Brandon Waddell, you go to his KBO numbers, and he had a couple of stints. Obviously, he was there with Pittsburgh. He grew up in that organization, ends up getting up there in 2020. Pandemic hits, done, just completely done. Ends up going KBO in 2022. And I was still playing KBO DFS at times, and now it's just not really a thing anymore. So you don't have to deal with it whatsoever in the post-COVID, whatever. But I don't really find him to be all that interesting. He had a swinging strike rate in the KBO right around 12%. Like, we're talking really low stuff for him in 2022, 2023, 2024. I don't think there's a ton of strikeout equity that's going to exist with him at the major league level. Like, his high point in any KBO season whatsoever was at 25.8%. He was there also in that same number with the AAA St. Louis team. Then with AAA Mets, 21.6%. But you know what he is? He's a 4K guy that's fully stretched out and gets the better. I think it's the better matchup there than having to be Cameron going into that Tampa Bay small porch little situation that he is running into. So I think it has more to do with the ballparks than it does anything else for me.
Which I think is reasonable. I guess, just from looking through, again, the small sample size stuff, what these guys have in the minors, I think Cameron's got a little better stuff, and being a lefty, I think has some appeal as well. But you look and Waddell's a lefty too, so I guess that.
Yeah, and I mean, Cameron has a 30.3% K rate. The main question for him, 185 batting average, that's not going to continue at the major league level. That's just not going to be something that he is bringing with him. So then you start looking through swinging strike rate. He's been a little bit better. And then the other main thing is, like, what kind of contact is he giving up? It seems as though he is going to be a feast or famine guy for sure. 37.5% home run to fly ball ratio at the moment. Even though he's a ground ball pitcher, when he is giving up fly ball contact, it's leaving yards, Spags.
Yeah, and look, and Waddell has more runs going against them too. And Chad pointing out Arizona better hitting lineup, obviously getting a little bit of a park flip going against them. Going to Citi Field, but 4.4 implied runs going against Waddell, 4.3 against Cameron. I agree with what you're saying about Tampa Bay, even the small sample size of this year, 4% boost in park factors, compared to the Mets this year being about a 8% drop in park factors and a 31% drop in home runs. I think Waddell has, he's got the projection going for him. The sim likes him more, and the park factors benefit him. I think Cameron might have better stuff. He's got the better implied total. I think there's a case to be made. These guys have their pros and cons, and I think they're pretty even on them. So, I did get 40% Waddell in the sim, and I got a little bit more of Cameron than the field. I got 11% of Cameron. I would love to get 20 to 25% of both and just be like, what if one of the 4K guys hits? Cool, I'm covered. Get the same stacks with them, ideally, if you can. That'd be how I would try to do it.
Mike Hawley asks, is it okay to play Lauer if he isn't starting? Starring, not very familiar with baseball. You were just fine. I'm glad that you asked. To be honest, Brandon Waddell is also coming out as a long reliever. He is not starting the game, which is why, depending on what book you're betting at, pay attention, always know the rules of your book. But Waddell is not your starting pitcher in this spot. He is going to be coming in relief of Brazaban is going to be the guy who is officially starting it. Huascar Brazaban. He's been in the pen for a long, long time. So what they're doing is they're trying to give him kind of a soft entry point. You get by 1, 2, 3, Corbin Carroll, Perdomo, those guys, and you just have an opportunity to get to the easier portion of the lineup. Yeah, it's a cleanup hitter, 5-hole, 6-hole, not exactly easy against Arizona and some of those pieces, but easier than starting the game and having Corbin Carroll see you 3 times in your first major league start in a couple of years. So that's kind of the way that they're doing it there. But as for Lauer, we'll talk about him here next. Anything you want to bring up as far as openers go? Because it's uncertain because they don't actually enter the ball game, and there are times you get burned by it. But from what I understand, Huascar, he has only pitched 1 inning tops in any outing all season long. I feel pretty comfortable with Brandon no matter what coming in and being fine in relief.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the data does the work for the most part, where, you're getting your pitchers on Stokastic's data projected in a way that's going to usually be aligned correctly with the projected long reliever stuff. And frankly, for the most part, like, those guys don't come up at all sim-wise or anything projection-wise. So yeah, for me, the guys, the 4K, other pivots that you could have, I guess game theory-wise, theoretically, if Waddell and Cameron were to get absolutely shelled and go negative numbers, maybe somehow an opener wins the slate because that lineup worked well enough with that guy and he puts up 10 fantasy points as opposed to -1. But I don't think that's the way you play it unless you're, a 150 maxer who's trying to look for every possible edge you could find and every possible outcome.
Freaking early slate, man. You need to have, I played so much Gonsolin, and of course you need Kyle Stowers now. It just hit a second home run. So,
that's the way it
that's
goes.
the worst. When you just jam a pitcher that I'm like, I'm going to play 100% Gonsolin, and then whatever. We continue on our merry way. Hit that like button. That would be very, very helpful to both myself and to Spag so that you can let them know that you like when we spend time together, that you enjoy when we get to spend time together. And then we all get to spend more time together. That sounded like an orgy. But let's talk about Eric Lauer, my namesake, next. This guy has never, ever been an appealing option on like any slate, on any fantasy, whatsoever. Like, I can't remember ever talking about Eric Lauer in any capacity other than like, let's target against Eric Lauer. But it is one of those spots where we expect him to come in behind Yariel Rodriguez. Yariel, the sea is so under. I was going to do like an Ariel joke, but
yeah, I thought that's where you're going with it, but you're close.
I hit abandon halfway through. But yeah, we're going to be looking at a Boston lineup that is obviously very, very potent, but Devers, Story, Christian Campbell, Carlos Narvaez in the lineup here today as well. There are some strikeouts to be had. There are some ways that you can kind of survive this. And, there's obviously much better pitchers that exist in the Toronto rotation here. And Eric Lauer, he's had issues with hard contact once upon a time, going back to 2023, 7.54 expected ERA, a 45.1% hard contact rate. But getting his call up here, getting an opportunity to be your long reliever against Boston, 6K, how are we feeling? Because he's my third highest owned pitcher.
So I got a pretty good amount of them as well. Got 3x the field, 25% fields at 8. I did also, when kind of hand choosing some lineups here that I wanted to put in the higher dollar stuff today, did go to look for lineups that had either Lauer or a Boston stack, because I think this is probably one of your most volatile spots to go to today, where Lauer can find strikeouts or Boston will hit him really hard, and that's how it is. Lauer hasn't faced a ton of batters over the last couple seasons, and actually compared to when I was playing DFS every single day doing content here on the channel a couple of years ago, he's really gotten worse in a lot of facets. Like, he used to actually keep the ground balls pretty much in play for the most part. Now he's got a 51% fly ball rate last couple years, and it's only 210 batters faced. I will say with Lauer, looking at his numbers, they're so bad. It does remind me of Shigano, who we talked about last time we did a show together, where he's been so bad. He ended up finding his depth a little bit more in that game, had a ton of strikeouts. Could be that spot for Lauer here because he's facing a Boston lineup that has 7 guys, strikeout above league average, a 26% aggregate K rate for the lineup as well. Lauer is so bad. Gets guys to chase 38% of the time, swing strike rate 9% of the time, lowest marks on the slate, 14% barrel ball rate, worst mark on the slate, 45% hard hit rate, worst mark on the slate. He's got up a 355 ISO to righties. That's not good either, but he's also bad versus lefties and probably due to get worse. You could make the case he's been lucky versus lefties so far with only a 0.9 whip compared to 1.9 versus righties, 0.13 BABIP compared to 340 versus righties. He's gotten killed by righties. He's going to face some lefties here who probably due to find more production against him. So I think this spot is the most important one on the slate. Get Lauer, get Boston, get mixed to both. Sims seem to favor Lauer, but I did force some Boston stacks with their 4.9 implied runs.
Yeah, he was hard to find any information on AAA Buffalo, purely because it didn't directly go from Fangraphs. Maybe somebody has something that I don't and they could find it. But yeah, Eric Lauer, anytime in San Diego, Milwaukee, no matter where you saw him, he was a southpaw that nobody was interested in rostering. But he's built up. He's 6K. And yeah, we got the 4K options, but I think some of the leverage that you're going to be getting too. I mean, we'll get to the stacks portion of the program, and stacks today, let me tell you, Boston's up there. We do have Chicago. We do have the Yankees to talk about against Povich coming off of yesterday, but I think Boston's going to be up there top 3. Every other pitcher, like these other 4K guys, really, you're not getting a lot of leverage against the stack that you're going to, and I'm kind of inclined to take shots on both quite a bit, and I think you could say the same here with Boston, as you just brought up, but the field's already there, whereas the field isn't on those other teams. So, yeah, Eric Lauer, no matter what that strikeout rate ends up being coming in here, it's never been good at any portion of his big league career. I don't expect it to be good here, but lengthened out starter, 6K. I don't need the salary because we already have all the salary savings on this slate. 8,200 Sanchez being a linchpin. I'm just kind of rolling with whatever the Sims gives me.
Yeah, and look, and the Sims are going to give you a good amount of Lauer, and I think it's fair. Again, I think it's a really volatile spot. I think he gets shelled, or he has a decent enough day pitching, and I think you might end up needing a part of Boston or Lauer today, which is, again, that conditional part of DFS. It's always there, but for MLB, it's more pronounced, where you do have to kind of play both sides when you see that being a fragile kind of spot on both.
So we got some disgusting stuff down here at the bottom. These are all the guys that are pulling no ownership. Our old friend Lucas Giolito is 7,500 today, making his debut as well. Don't know what's going on in Toronto today, but we're going back to 2019 and playing baseball, even though Lucas Giolito is only 30 years old. I was shocked by that yesterday. Shocked, because I feel like he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's been around. He's always had pretty decent stuff. So we'll see how that ages not so gracefully with him, because he does attack the plate pretty hard. So he can certainly can go poorly if he doesn't have the same.
Dead last in average simulated ROI. So there is that. But we do have a ton of other pitchers that exist on this slate. I just don't think any of them are worth the hassle. Like, I know that's a weird way to phrase that, but like, we have Sanchez, Waddell, Lauer. There's a little bit of Boyd showing up here just south of the 20% number. I think he's pulling rightfully a little bit of ownership. Same thing with Drew Rasmussen. We can break him down as well, but I don't think Corbin Burns is somebody I want up against the Mets, and I think the Mets are one of the more interesting stacks on today's slate. I don't think Chase Petty is really a requirement, even though I didn't really know anything about him till this morning. Cookie, definitely. I'm looking for a cookie cutter maybe. And then Lucas Giolito, Steven Matz, not getting anybody. Is there anybody else that's actually showing up in your lineups that you'd like to address?
No, everybody else, besides the guys you mentioned, all under 5% for me. I got no Severino, no Matz, no Giolito, no Carrasco, though I think you could make a case to play Carrasco at his price tag. I think he actually works okay in a few lineups, some of the higher dollar stacks, and he's kind of an interesting mid-tier option where you're getting a pivot against Lauer, who I think sim players will get a good amount, which Eric and I both are, and we're getting good amounts. I think Carrasco, vaguely interesting, but he only came up 1% ownership wise. I didn't really get him in the sim, so that's just more of a personal, maybe take a shot on him, because at least he does a few things that are maybe positive.
I'm going to make the Tobias Myers case to some extent.
Ooh, I like that one actually.
Yeah, so Tobias Myers is the one guy that I wish I was getting a little bit more of. You do have some major league hitters. Luis Robert, he's having a terrible year, but starting to do some things at times. Brooks Baldwin, Bobby Dahlbeck now in that lineup. And there are going to be strikeouts there. Basically just Andrew Benintendi, who can avoid strikeouts to some extent. But like, I don't know what it is about Tobias Myers. I don't get it, because like, he was a decent strikeout arm last year, 22.3%. I didn't really see a lot in spring training into AAA, one start here this year. I don't love what I've seen from him, but like a start against San Francisco isn't going to do a whole heck of a lot for us. They've been pretty decent against lefties. And like, I just think Tobias Harris has a little bit of meat on the bone. If I'm going to get different with anybody, because it's the White Sox on the other side, I feel like they're the automatic, like, give me more of them. I'm just shocked to see him pulling less ownership than Burns at 9K, even though Burns has had, one good outing against the Cubs this year in that win game. Nathan Eovaldi pulling a lot more ownership, just a security thing. Drew Rasmussen. I'm more inclined to be boosting Tobias Myers is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Tobias Myers, look, and the White Sox were on those teams, same thing as Colorado. We talked a little bit about Bryce Elder last time. I did a show here on Stokastic. When you have these low in totals, which you're always going to have for these kind of crappy teams like the White Sox, like Colorado, and you have a lineup as well with 6 guys that strike out above league average, 26% aggregate K rate for the lineup, being boosted a little bit by guys like Gage Workman, who haven't seen a ton of action. But still, it's not a great lineup going against Myers. And Myers is okay stuff, in particular versus righties. He's actually weirdly faced similar amounts of righties and lefties. 301 batters faced from the right-handed side of the plate, a 288 from the left-handed side. He's got a 25.2% K rate versus righties, 18.4% versus lefties. So maybe he'll struggle versus the 4 that are going to be in the lineup today going against him. But the strikeouts are there, and those aren't going to be good lefties / switch hitters going against him. So I think Myers is actually an interesting play at 7,200. He's at a different price point. Some of the sim chalk we've talked about already. So I'm with you on that. I did actually go out of my way to get a few grabs of Myers, even though he did not come up naturally my 150 set too much. Actually, sim-wise, he comes up really not a lot. Got 3% of him compared to the field's 14 or so.
Yeah, I got 6% unencumbered. I added, the obvious boost there, sitting just underneath a quarter of my lineup. So I'm going to be right around that when it's all said and done in my 150 set. But Christopher Sanchez, he's going to be somebody that I'm going to probably just continue to push up as this show goes on. We've got 28 minutes before we turn it over, 10 BA live before lock, get our lineups in, 6:35 p.m. Eastern time lock. That is 3:35 p.m. Eastern Pacific time. Look at me. I know time zones. But anything else you want to discuss pitchers on DK before we jump over to FanDuel?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well. I just would say one more time for Rasmussen. I think if we're going with the stuff versus matchup side of things, and I do tend to defer for pitchers a little bit more to matchup, maybe more than I should. I think Rasmussen's got the best stuff in the slate. So I would like to get more of them, and I'm going to see if I can get that throughout the back half of the show.
Love. I think he's an all right boost as well there. I have a little bit of Kansas City interest. We'll get there. But we've got Sanchez pulling by far the most ownership, 32% in our ownership projections. Christopher Sanchez, 10-2, still a linchpin of lineups. I mean, I just find no way that if you're getting 32% of him on FanDuel at 10-2, I just don't know how I'm not playing like 80% of him on DK at 8,200 with some of the other pitching options. But I suppose getting contrarian, a little bit more difficult over here. You have Waddell, you have Cameron sitting there 6K, 6,600. Absolutely no desire whatsoever to go fire those ones up. But is there a pitcher outside of Sanchez that you would want to have in your lineups on FanDuel?
I mean, I think Sanchez on FanDuel flattens out a lot more. He's only got a 10.1% chance to be a top pitcher versus 9% for Burns, 9% for Boyd, Eovaldi at 8.4%. I would say if I were playing FanDuel tonight, I might be inclined to just not get Sanchez on there, play more of him on DraftKings, because I could talk about a 2K price swing there between the two sites. So I agree with you. You could still absolutely have Sanchez get there. Also, the chat's been calling you out for the Harris thing. I didn't call you out for saying Tobias Harris. I thought that was a fair mistake. There's only so many Tobiases you have in the world. There's Harris and Bluth. That's
Tobias Myers. Did I say Harris?
Yeah.
Did I really?
You said Harris one time, and then the chat locked in on it real easily. That's of course, human nature.
You S&D one time. Yeah.
He sucked Tobias Myers off one time.
Where's that from? What state was that from? But I remember where it's from now.
Your biopic. It's a little bit slower than I usually get them off, but I got there. Anyway, Sanchez,
you like to take your time. You like to take your time and make it last. We like to make this last for you. These shows, Portfolio EV 7-day free trial for all new users. You guys want to check it out here? We've got the best data in the entire industry when it comes to DFS. I think you guys know that by now. We have the best product. People jumping over from other places to use our Sims product and finding success immediately. Try out our betting products as well. And it doesn't really matter which state you're in anymore. Now that ProfitX and NoVig are part of our equation, Portfolio EV is set up to help you succeed right from the jump. It's not this super magic thing that nobody else in the entire world could figure out. No. It's not that. But it is truly back tested, and it is a forward-facing tool showing you historical ROIs in every single market. And if those markets haven't been profitable for you, you can remove them from your portfolio so that you can target the weak points at every single sports book that is available to you in your state. That's the beauty of Portfolio EV. That is what it can do for you. And I'm sharing it for free right now. The top plays listed in my Lindy AZ portfolio right now over on playback.tv/Stokastic. So if you guys want to check it out and get a couple of bets for today's slate, in addition to the NBA streets, where Draymond Green under 3.5 assists at the top of the tool right now. If you guys want to jump in and get Nikola Jokic under 50.5 PRA sitting there for Thursday's festivities against the Clippers. Yeah, NBA streets are firing. NHL streets are firing. We got the playoffs, baby. Talking playoffs? 7-day free trial Portfolio EV. Just for you, my friends, down at the video description box below, my friends. Now we go back over to the DraftKings slate here. talked a little bit about FanDuel. It's pretty straightforward to me. You're not playing any of the cheapies that we're worrying about here over on DK today. That is just the way that the cookie crumbles. But I always start off the stacks discussion this way, Spags. One stack to rule them all, one stack to find them. In single entry today, who's the 5-man you're rolling out?
Man, so sim-wise, it's a little bit different than who I would personally choose. If I were personally choosing, it'd be the thing I talked about. I would play Lauer, I'd play Boston, and I think I'd be more inclined to play Boston right now. Eric talked about Boston before. They do seem mostly appropriately owned. According to the top stacks tool, we have, where are you at, Boston? There's so many teams on the slate. For Boston, we have a 9% chance to be the top stack, 8.1% ownership. So a little bit of positive leverage there. I think they're still my favorite team on the slate. You know, the implied total of 4.9 runs, both sides of that game having a nice run total, park up. Well, not a park upgrade, but still a good park to play in for Toronto as well. I think these are all good things for them. So I would go Boston, but sim-wise, I assume you're getting the same thing as me, which is a lot of Cardinals, a lot of Rangers, a lot of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee one I don't love. You're muted. I think you've been muted the whole time, just for what it's worth. I said you're muted, but I wasn't sure that you were, so didn't want you to. Oh, look, guys, it's Puppet Lindquist here to talk.
My favorite stack of the day. If you're making me pick one for single entry, can you hear me now? Good. It's going to be the Philadelphia Phillies against Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin is just terrible. He's horrible. He's no good. He's very bad. And we have all the salary to play with on this slate. Just like Spags has all the jokes to play with whenever he does a show with me. I get it. I totally get it. But Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, these are all very, very attainable pieces. Even Bryson Stott at the top of this lineup, hitting 292, 810 OPS and finding ways to steal some bags along the way. I mean, come on now. This is a great lineup to be getting to. And I feel like I haven't been able to play much Philly. Talked about how it's a worse game environment than we've seen here lately, but I look at our top stacks tool, and I do think that Philadelphia is just one of those teams that, compared to the Cubs, where they're going to pull ownership no matter what, definitely compared to the Yankees, who are going to be a very uncomfortable short for me to some extent on today's slate, whether it's St. Louis going up against Chase Petty, even though now their ownership's come down a little bit, and then going up against Cookie. I don't think anybody's going to be off of Baltimore. Philly just kind of goes a little bit unsung because Jake Irvin was good last year, and I didn't really buy into it. I definitely don't buy into it this season, Spags.
Yeah, Jake Irvin, I mean, over the larger sample size, lowest or one of the lowest swinging strike rates, 8.6%, one of the lowest chase rates on the slate at 37.3%. I know we should go into Philly here. 4.7 implied runs, not that bad, but frankly, the fact that they are a little bit lower than some of the other teams that we've talked about or that we will talk about, a lot of games with 4.9, 5-ish runs, so maybe they go under the radar a little bit as a result. And they do seem under-owned according to the top stack tool, 6.3% chance of being, or ownership rather, and then 7.1% chance of being a top stack. So positive leverage there. I see where you're going with it. I actually, my highest owned 3-man stack out of the 150 set. So didn't get there for the full stack quite as much, 7% there. But still getting a good mix of Philly coming in. So I'm not mad at it.
Well, you're a little bitch. So there you go. That's why. That's why.
Oh, now you should have been muted for that. I don't want you to be unmuted for the mean things. It's every slur coming out of your mouth.
Beautiful things. You Muppet. You absolute Muppet. Actually, literally, you have a Muppet on your hand. But here we go. Let's continue talking about some of these stacks because I think, again, pretty darn flat in this direction at the moment. And I don't want to go completely crazy, baby. Don't forget that boy told you kick that dirt off your shoulder. But I do want to find ways of getting to some of these under-owned stacks that still have a ton of chance of success. Philadelphia, as you can see, sitting right below Milwaukee. Milwaukee going up against the White Sox. I think that's pretty self-explanatory at this point. That Sean character is no good. St. Louis, talked about them. Nobody's sleeping on them. Think the big thing is whether the Yankees decide to hit 4 home runs in the first inning today or not, because they are an uncomfortable fade. Baltimore is an uncomfortable fade. It's a different game environment than what we saw yesterday. Wind blowing in from left field here today. Thank God. I'm hoping that everybody just goes and lunges after that one, but I think I'm just going to be pretty flat in the stack department here today, Spags, hoping that game goes under and then moving along with my life.
Yeah, honestly, I was really surprised how little New York and Baltimore I got. Well, that's not true because I got a ton of Aaron Judge, a lot of one-off Aaron Judge in the sim today. He's going to be 28% owned according to Stokastic data. I got him in 46% of my sim lineups. And like, I get it. Cade Povich has been really bad versus righties, giving up a 340 BABIP, a little bit unlucky there. But a 208 ISO is not very good. He's getting barreled at a 9% rate. That's not very good. And he's also getting contact in the zone, one of the worst rates. 46% contact in strike zone for him right now is another stat I'm kind of adding in, trying to get a better picture for myself here. Judd is a one-off, I think feels really chalky. So just getting the stack there, trying to say the whole team gets some production, even if you were to fade Judge and put a Yankee stack there, I think is appealing. But yeah, I forced my way to Baltimore a little bit. Didn't get them ton naturally in the sim. Yankees, I got 3% 5-man. Baltimore, I got 4% 5-mans. And I like this game environment a good amount. I mean, Baltimore's playing really well. 15% park factor increase so far this year. I think it's a good game to go to, but the Sims don't seem to like it. Price tags are tough, so I do get it.
Yeah, the price tags are really, really tough. I think that's really what it comes down to is it's hard to get to the entire shebang. But you can see my very top stack, mother effer, Eric. Eric, swear to God, this guy just put me down and start over today. No, it's all right. I definitely wanted to point out how much Aaron Judge I had, and specifically the fact that a 5-2 showing up at the top, a 5-2. Kind of what you're doing with Philly in terms of small stack. I do have a 5-3 sitting up there of them. I have more 5-mans of Philly than it sounds like you do. I'm doing that basically with the Yankees. I'm playing an egregious amount of Aaron Judge that the Sims are giving me, and then finding my way onto another piece. And this one is Paul Goldschmidt, and this one it's Paul Goldschmidt as well. As I work down through it, I mean, Cade Povich is just terrible, horrible, no good, very bad at pitching baseballs. You know what I want to do is play a couple of hitters against a guy who's terrible, horrible, no good at pitching baseballs. So we're going to do that, but I can't really get to the 5-man when there are under-owned pieces coming off of yesterday. So just is what it is. We're going to roll along. Anybody that you're super uncomfortable with getting a low amount of in stacks today, Spags?
I mean, well, should we talk specifically about Baltimore a little bit? Because I think
we can talk Baltimore.
Yeah. Yep. So like, I mean, this game, I said it already, the game in general looks really appealing to me. I would love to get more 5-mans, and I did force myself to more 5-mans of Baltimore. I like the spot versus Carrasco. I mean, he's getting hit really hard, 44% hard hit rate. He also really aggressively goes after the strike zone, 90% rate of pitches in the strike zone. So he's going after it, giving the guys a chance to hit the ball here. And I was on Baltimore the other day. Of course, the trying to continue on where I picked Gunnar Henderson hit a home run. And then it was, I believe, O'Hearn hit one instead, a couple spots after him. So it feels great. Look, we're directionally accurate as anybody out there. I like going back to Baltimore. One day it'll all pay off. I like Baltimore though. I think they're a team worth getting to. The ownership for the stack is a little bit over leveraged, 7.4% chance, only 6.2% chance being a top stack. But I do think for Baltimore, I'm willing to go there more. They didn't occur naturally a ton for me in the sim. I think they could be sneaky here. And frankly, pretty expensive up top, but you have Laureano as a salary savings, kind of like for the Yankees. You have a Reyes if you're going to go that way. It's a nice way to kind of break up your stack a little bit, even if I guess Laureano probably gets a little bit overowned in a large Baltimore stack because of it.
Yeah, let's look at some of the stack ROIs here. This is a good place to jump to. We'll talk FanDuel. We'll do our dong of the day, as Puppet Linquist likes to sing, and then we'll get ourselves the heck up out of here. But Texas, actually number 1 in terms of stack ROI, and not one that we've talked about a ton here yet. St. Louis, Philly. But in terms of the stacks that we're really not going to be getting to, the White Sox, the Athletics, Washington, and that's just two of them right next to each other like this. I mean, can they go off Baltimore, New York? Certainly can, but I'm hoping that that trend continues. Just like, you pick a homer of somebody on that team, and I just hope they all decide to pretend like they got called for a homer. That would be good. all 9 of
Yeah,
them.
that's fair. Yeah, I got a lot of Texas here, and I really like, and I get it. The implied run total of 4.8 for them, one of the better ones here. Price tag's really soft, especially the middle of the order with Berger under 3K. Peterson has had his struggles, but maybe getting back on track here. And longer term sample size, obviously, you do like for Peterson his ability to get the ball out of the park. Semien also cheap, hitting the 5-hole. Like, I get why you get Texas. I just, man, it really feels like Severino's been okay enough, and Texas Park is not playing too hot yet because closing the roof a lot, and it's just not that hot in Texas when they don't have it real closed. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about Texas, but I got them a lot in the sim and try to defer to the sim whenever possible, obviously.
Yeah, Severino's not very good at this point in time. It's not a great home ballpark for him now in Sacramento either, but getting here into Texas and with the roof closed, as you brought up, only a 91 WRC plus. This lineup actually 86 because Corey Seager not in it. That is not helpful to the Texas Rangers whatsoever. But what do you get? You get cheaper bats. You have also a guy in Wyatt Langford who just destroys right-handed pitching. It is absurd to watch. So no matter what, no matter how, Wyatt Langford leading off today, I got some really nice value. That was kind of a surprise to me seeing that lineup roll out. Jock Peterson in the 4-hole there, 2.4K. I know he's been abysmal. He'll get better before he gets worse. Semien there in the 5-hole, Josh Young. It's just such a cheap stack. And not that we need the money with 4K and 6K pitchers on today's slate, but like, I do think Texas is one of those stacks that it's almost impossible for them to get pushed up by the field because of what we're seeing from New York and Baltimore. So as long as I'm short on them, I'll be long on teams like Texas.
Yeah, and look, I think there's great price tags here. And like you mentioned, Langford, Berger, Josh Young, I think those guys all come up enough for me here. 15% for Langford, 15% for Berger, 10% for Young. I just think the 5-man stack is going to come up a lot for people. I think trying to get the smaller stack would be a little more of a tournament move for me in the largest tournaments, because I think you can capture 1 or 2 guys hitting a home run here, and that's all the production in the game, and it wouldn't shock me.
Spags, I mean, as if the Aaron Judge ownership wasn't enough on DK on FanDuel, the guy's pulling 38.6% ownership. We have Kyle Tucker, who's also crazy popular there, 4,500, 25% of lineups. My boy Wyatt Langford surging to the top there. Wild to see Cedric Mullins as well. Texas a little bit more popular, sitting over on the FanDuel side of things. So keep that in mind here with Josh Smith, third base, shortstop, outfield eligibility. What are we doing with our lives? But it's true. Same thing, Christopher Morel pulling a ton there on the Tampa side. But as far as stacks go, FanDuel wise, we do have different pricing. We do have a little bit of a different structure there. If you go to the 10-2 Christopher Sanchez in a third of your lineups, which I think I'd actually be more inclined to do looking at the lineups that I just built out over on FanDuel, I think you're going to find it more difficult to get to like some of the expensive stacks there. Texas still showing up quite a bit for me, but the Cubbies, they're number 1 on FanDuel. The Yankees, number 2 on FanDuel. We have tons of ownership coming into Boston, and Philly against Jake Irvin, even more popular, sitting there 4th in terms of top stack percentage on FanDuel. Who are your favorite stacks for the FanDuel people?
I mean, I think the Cubs one has to stand out here. Like, I did get some Cubs on DraftKings, but these guys are priced so expensively for, not great park factors going against them. The matchup versus Mlodzinski is not anything that's going to be that great, even though he's not a great pitcher. He's not necessarily an egregiously bad pitcher with only a 110 ISO allowed on both sides of the plate. But on DraftKings, you have your top 5. I mean, in particular, 4 of the top 5. $6,200 Kyle Tucker, who's been great, but it's a steep price tag for him, got him the most. Then you have 5,500 for Suzuki. Bush is about 5,400. Carson Kelly, 5K on DraftKings. If you're going to get cheaper prices on FanDuel and a better chance, I mean, you're not going to be a high chance being a top value on FanDuel, but it's a little more reasonable there for the total. I think getting my Cubs there would feel a little bit better. So Cubs stand out. Yankees and Boston, 2 teams I like on DraftKings, also standing out. And Philly, it seems like top stack wise on FanDuel definitely seems a little more appealing, but I think your case on DraftKings was equally good, what you gave before.
Baseball is capped. That's funny. Anyway, Clint Wood, 83. Sorry, I'm late. You're just fine. You're just in time. Sanchez and who for DK cash pitcher? That's a great question. Also, Eric's tails equals money. Thanks, my guy. No, thank you. I was glad I could put a parlay together that could actually win today. The last 4 days have been like the worst 4 days of betting the entire year for me. So the fact that you guys stand by me and helping me out and pushing me to greatness, I really appreciate it. But Clintwood, great people. Really, thank you for the super chat and thank you for the kind words. Sometimes I need them too. But Sanchez and who for DK pitcher today, Spags?
I think it's Waddell. I think Sanchez a very obvious one. I would trust the Stokastic projection on here. Factoring 40% of him sim-wise would be it. I think cash-wise, he probably wouldn't play Eovaldi, Rasmussen, Burns. Those guys are projected for more ownership, and usually for me, for cash games, no matter what sport, trying to follow the ownership more. But I would say Waddell. If not Waddell, you want to play a little bit safer. Myers, I think, would be okay for cash.
Give me the big, juicy dongs in the lineup. That's what I want. I want to have all of the bats. I want to have Judgy. I want to have, all of the, like, Wyatt Langford would be in my cash lineup today. Like, there's so many different guys that I would be rolling out in cash today that I would want to have a 4K pitcher in it. Like, it just would be hard to pass up. So yeah, I'd be going to the Brandon Waddell side of things. Has had a lot of experience, at least pitching in life, even though not so much in the big leagues, but stretched out, ready to rock. I would utilize him. Good luck to you. But people are already starting to throw their dongs of the day in. So I guess it's that time, Spags. We could probably do it a little bit early and then finish up our lineups, get the heck up out of here like a couple of minutes early so that we can turn it over to the NBA live before lock crew. That is going to be Josh Engelman, Greg Ehrenberg, breaking everything down. Puppet Lindquist, it's time. Do your damn.
Oh. Dog of the day. Whoop, whoop. Dog of the day. It's your dog of the day. Dog of the day. Put that dong, it's gonna come out of Eric's mouth, and it never comes back out, because that's what dog of the day. I gotta think of better lyrics for it. I think there's more of a jingle to it. The dong of the day part I feel good about. The rest of it, you gotta build it out.
You feel good about the dong part?
I feel pretty good about the dong part. I think the dong of the day part, I think catchy, has a rhythm to it, but we need the rest of the Family Guy intro. We need something that stands out. We need Stewie going positively can do or whatever,
What are you talking about? The father. I can't really have it.
It started stronger than it ended. Your Stewie impression.
I know. I'm hitting bail at the halfway point of my jokes. Part of it is that I'm watching myself on the screen do it, and I'm like, ew, what are you doing? Like, I'm not used to watching myself on a show, but now I'm on the screen as I'm working through. Don't mind me. Now I'm on the sim tool. Now I'm happy. Now I can, father, I can't really help it. It's just how I feel.
What is that voice? Is that Stewie again?
That's Stewie again. He's
okay. Well, that sounded like you're Elton John.
Oh. But Benny and the Jets. All right. Give the people your dong of the day, Specs.
My dong of the day. All right. Well, I talked about Boston Toronto being the high leverage spot going against Eric Lauer. I will go against Lauer here. I will take a righty bat. Actually, should I take a righty bat? He's due to get some shelling versus lefties as well. I'll go Devers. I'll go Devers versus him. Lefty-lefty matchup here. But frankly, hard contact to both sides of the plate. Think he's due to play worse against right-handed hitting as well. Or left-handed hitting as he has playing against right-handed hitting. So Devers will be my pick in the 2-hole. But of course, that means now Bregman, Story, all very live for home runs.
Yeah, congratulations to them. Way to go, guys. Good job. Good effort. We're going to Wyatt Langford. I brought him up earlier. I don't know how you don't like a guy with a 203 WRC plus, a 1.073 OPS, 1,073 OPS against righties this season, 347 average. And a 327 ISO against right-handed pitching for Wyatt Langford. Leading off today, I get 5 cracks at it. One of the secret codes to this show, Spags, is lineup order. All you want to do is find the guy who's batting first and get as many cracks as possible at getting your dong of the day across the line as you can, especially when they've got like a 327 ISO against righties.
I mean, that's the dong of the day. that is the rule of thumb, though. That's why stacking is so important in baseball, because if the players have success, they create more at-bats. So logic being brought to the home run game here as the dong of the day song is sung. So
it was a beautiful, honestly, I know the song still in my head. That's how good it was the first time around from 2 days ago. And you did too. So I was very surprised to see that. Eric goes Langford 4 days of the week. Yeah, because I like fucking home runs. Okay, sorry. Wow, power hitting Devers. Bregman it is, or Bergman in this case. Elton John likes, we're not going to say that. A Christian Kirk home run. That one is a contrarian. Another Alejandro Kirk home run. Are you related? What is going on? Devers goes yard.
You working in football too? So you got Tobias Harrison and Christian Kirk?
Okay. We had I'm effing crying from Loco. Christian Kirk. Oh, dude, Christian Kirk made me money, Arizona. I've never really made money with him in Jacksonville. Never really
He's
happened.
good. I mean, maybe in Houston, he got one more shot.
Made some money with some other guys. And we will never talk about Marquez Valdez-Scantling, except for totally redeemed himself last year. There were a couple of slates I was way over on Marquez, and he decided to do his dance. Anyway, LOLs, Tawa. Oh, what if he hits a towering high fly drive?
I don't know how to follow that one up, guys.
Guys, that's going to do us for the MLB DFS show. Hopefully you got some great information here. Talked about the 4K pictures, talked about what the Sims tool is providing for us. And again, the Sims tool knows a lot more than what we do. Utilize it on the day in, day out basis here at Stokastic. And also on the way out, hit the like button. Goes a long way for both myself, for Spags. One more time for the people in the back. I know we're going to be turning it over here to NBA Live Before Lock, but Portfolio EV being shared over at playback.tv/Stokastic. It will be throughout this show and throughout the NBA Live Before Lock coming up next in 3 minutes with Greg Ehrenberg, Josh Engelman. So with that, I'm going to get ourselves the heck up out of here. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist. Chris Spags at Chris Spags. Tell the people where to find you.
Check out my NFL best ball content at Splash Play Pod, my daily NBA DFS videos, which, boy, nobody watched today at Splash Play Best, but it's still a great video. And here's the dog of the day. Dog of the day. Woo, sorry, Duke. Dog of the day. Dog of the day. Woo, woo, dog of the day. Oh, kisses.
That is adorable. Duke could never do that. And he's also not in here because he threw up in my office yesterday. So
he's got a big belly. He's got a lot to throw up in there.
I had to throw part of the carpet out, and I'm going to stitch it back together because it's so
That's
bad.
impressive. You're able to do that. Kudos to you.
Thank you. I'm a South Dakotan. We had nothing else to do other than learn how to take care of shit around the house. Also, that's how you're a man, Spags. You take care of your home.
I just never had you as a type to do some carpet munching. You know, that's.
Goodbye. Oh my God.